Hey, so how's it going? Here's a look at the Electrodacus SBMS 40. So we're just going to hook it up first shot. So in the instructions you need to connect the battery positive up, and then the ribbon cable that comes. I think there are 10 wires. It's really cool. This is kind of like the third time I've looked at it, but I was working on it last night. Gonna go through a startup, and then then your next step is just kind of set up parameter settings, right? So we're gonna go down one. We're gonna say OK. All right. So first thing is cell type, and we'll do number of cells and then capacity, right? So we're gonna say OK to cell type. That's lithium iron. We're going to go one up. Lithium cobalt is what we want for my setup. We're going to say OK. OK. And then we're going to go down. I got a 4S. We're going to say OK. 2, 3, 4. So that's 4S. And then what we run into is the kind of the diagram at the bottom, how to hook up the 10 wire plug. So I haven't done that. I've gone over the instructions tens of times and I missed it, so I'll show you what I did. So I pretty much just did 1, 2, 3, 4 here, then all the other ones are just flying. They're not hooked up. So it looks like they'll have to be hooked up in between 2 and 3, and then cells 3 and 4 need to go on wires 7 and 8. So that's what I ran into, so that's why we're doing this. So here's a look at the instructions, the setup instructions. So I have 4S, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, and so I have it hooked up through green. That's how I hooked it up. I've done some battery packs before, and that's kind of what made sense. Even after looking at this, I didn't gather that these needed to be connected at all, and it looks like that's the case. Looks like they do need to be connected. So let me show you the ribbon here where it's unconnected. Okay, a little busy back here, but this is the back end of my battery bank. So there's the ribbon cable. Focus. So there it is. So I've got so this is the most negative, right? So right to left rather. So most negative. So you get gray, black, I think. And then I'm going gray, purple. And this isn't going to really help that much. Blue, and then green, and then the rest of the cables are there. Jeez, focus. All right, so the rest of the cables are just flying right here. These are not hooked up. So it looks like that's the wrong way to do it. All right, again, here's the diagram. So you got most negative to most positive, and so I have just through green hooked up. So it looks like I got to move 4 and 3 over to 8 and 7. Then everything in between will be in between cells 2 and 3 on wire 7. So that's what I'll do. I'll fix that and then we'll come back around. All right, here we are. So I was working from this screen. So you have cell 1, 2, 3, 4, and cells 3 and 4 go on 7 and 8. So I was working on off of that screen, as well as this one. So pretty much right to left, we got negative, the most negative, black, white together, gray, and purple. So I've got that. I'll show you that in a minute. And then blue, green, yellow, and orange are all on one ring terminal. Then we have red and then brown. So using this again, so pretty much so you've got the black, white, gray, and purple on this end of number 2, and then the 3, let's see, blue, green, yellow, and orange go anywhere in between the 2 and the 7, which is the 2 and the 3. And then you have red in between 7 and 8, and then brown in between, or on the most positive. So here's what I came up with. So we've got from right to left the most negative. So we've got black and white, gray, purple, and here's our multiple. Blue, green, yellow, orange. That's going to go in between cells 2 and 3. Okay. And then we've got red that goes in between 3 and 4. And then this brown guy. You can't really tell the colors very well, but you know, perhaps this helps you. Between this and maybe you're going to read the directions, right? So then you have brown on the most positive. So I'm going to jam that in, and we're going to start her up again. Alrighty, I think I got it. So it's right to left. Most negative is black, white, gray, purple. Then we have the multi, and then we have red and brown. So let's look at that. Alright, so again it's 4S. Should switch back to my 35, so can get it all in the frame. So 4 cells, so there would be cell 1, the most negative on the right. Cell 2, 3, 4. So there we have black, white, gray, purple, and the multi, red and brown. Let's see what we can do. Alright, here we go. So step 1 is to connect the battery. Positive, and we've done that. Second step is connect the 10 pin. So I didn't get the had a communication error, and I think it's the ISL 94203 right there. I think we're good. Oh, look at that. Nice. Alright, so that's step 2. Step 3 is parameter settings, down 1, say OK. Cell type, say OK. It's going to be LCO for lithium cobalt, say OK. Down, number of cells is going to be 4. 4, OK. My battery capacity is 172 amp hours. Okay, there we go, say okay. Alright, and then the next step is store. Yep. It's going. EEPROM right, okay. So a reset, the next disconnect and reconnect to battery. So I think that's the 10 pin that comes out. So let's do that now. Okay. Focus is still decent, looks like. Okay, good. This thing is really cool. Yeah, about half. It makes sense that it's about half. So let's go back into settings. So there we go. It kept our settings. The battery type, lithium cobalt, number of cells, 4, and our capacity. So pretty cool. Cool, let's go, I have no idea what to do next. Oh, that's cool. So you see how now the wiring makes sense. A little bit of imbalance there. We should be able to knock that out though. Alright, well cool. There are some advanced settings. I think I'll leave you out of that. I gotta probably go back to school on that. So yeah, I'll be truncating the voltage range for my inverter that I'm using. So I'll be like 3.8 volts, something like that on the top end, and then maybe stop it at 3. So, but yeah, so a little adventure. I'll do more on this. I'll do like an overview on this little little off-grid setup, but that was fun. Thanks for watching. Alright, so I thought the video was over, but not yet. So sure enough, if you look at 10.3, should be page 31 on the user guide, 10.3 parameter settings. Right there, he says, update your cells, and then you get the wiring diagram for, you know, whatever your series cells. So it's right there, and I had read it before, but that's how it goes sometimes. So anyway, yeah, I was just sharing my experience with initial setup. So hey, I hooked everything up, and let's have a look at that. Okay, so hopefully we can see that better. So went ahead and, yeah, you can change the colors, which I did. So I've got green here. You can like invert the screen color, make the invert the backlight, do all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to figure out how to change the IT just above the 52%. That's internal temperature. It's at Celsius, so we should be able to change it to Fahrenheit. You can also change the units here, so you can do current, which we're on. This is the monitoring page 1. Change it to power. It spits out watts, so that's pretty fun. The sun's coming up, and so we're putting 150 watts into the 145 into the batteries there. Pretty fun. The internal temperature has gone from 20C to 23C. I don't have a heat sink yet. I was just going to check it out. The max should be like 16 amps charging, so I do have a small heat sink that I can add. What else? It does look like the low cell we had was the it's kind of bouncing back and forth between 2 and 3 or 7. Looks like that's balancing out. We had about a 10 hundredths, a tenth. That was about a tenth off, and those are getting a little closer now, so that's fun. I went ahead and hooked up the external load with these out. That's for the shunt up here, just to measure current. So let's go ahead and flip on the external load, and we'll watch. I've got a light we can turn on. Oh baby, it's hard to turn. Alright. Light on. So down here. Oops, let's turn the inverter on. There we go. It's about a 50 watt light. So it's drawing 63 watts. That's pretty cool. Let's go back to currents. So 4.4 amps or so. While we're at it, I guess, let's go back. Parameter settings. I did it. So if you go to advanced, here's where we did our initial setup. So battery type, series type cells number. We did the capacity. So I changed my over voltage. He's got a pretty good, pretty safe range. So he had it maxed out at 4 volts a cell, which is pretty conservative. And then under voltage is like 3.2 volts. So it's nice and a little narrower for, you know, longevity, right? So my inverter will freak out at like 15.8 volts, so I just bumped it down to 3.9 per cell. So it gets me to, I think, 15.6. So I could get another 500s and bump it up by that much, I think, and the inverter wouldn't flip out. That's the only thing I changed in advanced. Let's go back. Automation EXT. This is where I set up the shunts and the ADC settings, I think. So default is off, so the 0 is off, your external business, and then 1 is on. So I just turn that on. The down on one down here. So that's just your resistance of your shunt in milliohms. So get out the old ohms law to figure that out a little bit. So I just have a 100 amp shunt. It's a 75 millivolt, so I think that makes sense there. So 75 milliohms. So that's it for that. You can do, which I'll get into later. Right now I just manually turn on the inverter. It does have a remote plug, so I can play with the pinouts. Dacian was awesome. He just like found it really fast. Found the pinout, despite I looked, but didn't look hard enough. But yeah, he's awesome. He helped me out with that pinout, so I could remote turn off the inverter. At the moment, the only thing I would run constantly would be I have a refrigerator down here. Otherwise, I would just turn things off and on manually. So there we go. Early in the morning, sun must have come down a little bit. Oh, we're running the light. So yeah, it's 8 amps in the solar. It's fun. Looks like the AC came on, so I think now we can end the video.